Today I'm going to share with you a healing story, and this one is about me and something that I've experienced recently. It has to do with Disneyland, it has to do with heart rate variability, and mothering. So for those of you who happen to be a mother, maybe you're a woman who is running a career or super busy with your job, this story is for you. As many of you know, I teach all about nervous system regulation, stress management, and I would consider myself a nervous system specialist. And despite that, I've had a hard time getting my own heart rate variability to really get above, go beyond 70 and above. And so for those of you who don't know what heart rate variability is, it's a measure of how our body has a balance between our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. It's really a measurement of how our autonomic nervous system responds to stress. And ideally you want a higher heart rate variability that's different than your heart rate. Heart rate variability is the difference in your heartbeat from beat to beat, because your heartbeat actually changes. It's not as steady as we think it is. You want to have a variation between heartbeats because that is a sign that your body can handle going into high stress and then coming back into homeostasis. When you have a lower heart rate variability, that's a sign often of illness, of being in a high stress state, that your ability to cope and adapt to your environment and to change might be limited. And so improving heart rate variability is a common health goal. I've been measuring my heart rate variability for several months using the Oura ring, O-U-R-A. I don't have it on right now. It's charging. I'm not affiliated with it, and I'm not affiliated with Disneyland. So I have a story about Disneyland and the Oura ring and healing. The Oura ring is a great device to track your heart rate variability as well as your stress levels and all sorts of things. There are lots of other devices that do it as well. I'm not necessarily saying Oura ring is the best. It's just the one that I use. So anyways, I've been using it for a few months and tracking what it is that causes me to go into sympathetic versus parasympathetic, just as more of my own study and to improve my overall health. So my heart rate variability usually is somewhere between 50 and 60. Every once in a while I get to 70, and that's not bad actually. It's pretty good for my age. I'm 45 years old, so 50 to 60 is decent. However, I would like my heart rate variability to be higher, and so I've been trying to figure out how to modify my workload, how to make sure that I am, responding appropriately to stress, etc., just to see what I can do. For me, I had a goal of getting it into the 70s and maybe 80s, and I thought that would be amazing. Well, with all of this nervous system work and all of this monitoring of my workload and trying not to overdo it, because with running Primal Trust, I can sometimes work like 50-hour weeks and stuff. So I do work a lot, but I've been trying to be more moderate. Despite all of that, getting my heart rate variability to about 60, 65, I thought that was good. And then I took my kids to Disneyland, and this is an important story of healing because it shows you that with all of the nervous system work in the world, if you're not doing what matters most, your healing will be limited. So I'm going to start by asking you the question, what matters most to you? To me, relationships matter most, and specifically my relationships with my children and my loved ones and with Source, with God. That's what matters most to me. Also nature. I love nature. And despite that, I also have a mission that matters. As you know, I'm running Primal Trust. I love my mission. I love helping people self-heal, but spending all my time doing that isn't what matters most. Anyway, spring break comes and we have never taken our kids to Disneyland. So I wanted to take them to Disneyland because when I was sick, I was never able to do that. It was always a goal of mine. Disneyland was way out of the picture when I was, hardly able to walk all day. So we went to Disneyland, and my inner child came out like she never has. And I will say that I'm not somebody who thought I would even like Disneyland. I wanted to take them to Disneyland for them, but I'm not really into man-made entertainment. I really like nature, and so I was shocked. I was having so much fun, and then there was a moment where You're gonna laugh. We were watching the parade and Cinderella waved to me and I started to cry. My little girl was so touched and something happened in my heart. I literally felt my heart go way open. My little girl just lit up, and the rest of the day I was just in heaven with my kids, playing, having the best time. Next day I wake up, my heart variability is in the high 80s. Like, it never went beyond, like, I think I got to 78 once. I was like, wow, that's a fluke. That's so crazy. The next day after that, it was in the low 90s. The day after that, mid 90s. Now we are 8 days later, I've had it up at 104, and it is just staying right near 100. I don't know, we'll see what happens by next week. The point is, I played, I let my little girl out, I connected with my kids, and that barrier of heart rate variability that I've been working on for months just blew open. It had nothing to do with nervous system regulation. It had to do with living my values, living what matters most, letting my inner child come out, crying when Cinderella waved to me. And it's just been such a lesson for me, the leader of Primal Trust, teaching self-regulation. Of course, I teach living your values. It's a big part of our mentorship. But it showed me that I still have healing to do, and that I still have aspects of my little girl that needs to come out and play and be playful. And so that's my story about healing, and I encourage you to do what matters most. I do also love the idea of monitoring heart rate variability to see how your practices are going. I will say a disclaimer: if you're somebody who's really stressed about sleep and you tend to be super vigilant with things like that, monitoring yourself might not be a good idea, because it does monitor your sleep, or you could take it off at night and not monitor your sleep. I don't have problems with that, but there was a time about 10 years ago that it would have stressed me out to like be looking at my sleep data all the time. So that's another disclaimer. Otherwise, I love the monitoring that it gives me to show me my stress rate, etc. So my healing was letting my little girl out, going to Disneyland, and living what matters most. That's my story today.